Welcome back to the Plant Power Podcast. My name is Ian Beckles. We're hanging out here in the Dignitary Velvet Room. And first and foremost, let me give some love to CureALife for making this happen. There's CureALife all over the Tampa Bay area. I don't know the number now, but if you drive a mile in any direction, you will pass a CureALife somewhere. I promise you. I love their service, and it's all about choices, if you know what I'm saying. So also Mitra 9, for anybody who has not hip to Mitra 9, come by Dignitary Tea and Kava House. We have the best kava and kratom in town, but if you're not into that, you can bring home a Mitra 9, and if you want to just purchase some, you can go to their website and use Dignitary in a promo code, and you'll get a discount, so you got to show them some love that way. So there's so many things that happen in the cannabis realm and in the Tampa Bay area. Florida is just an interesting state when it comes to regulations, and I don't know if interesting is the right word. I'm just kind of an outsider in this realm because we're about to open up a smoke shop, but that's not really what we do. We're more of a kava house, but we're going to open up a smoke shop, so we're going to have some glass, and we're going to be dealing with some Delta 9 and some Delta 8 and all those different things like that we got to get more hip to. But I was kind of from the outside looking at some people that were upset about something going on in the hemp industry, and I didn't really know what was going on. And I brought these two people with me right here who know a lot more than I do about what's going on. First, to my right, we have Yomaira Pineiro. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Tell everybody what you do first and foremost.
My name is Yomaira Pineiro. I'm the CEO and founder of a premium hemp company called CureALife, and we're inspired by the cigar rolling in Tampa Bay, and so we reinvented the cigars into hand-rolled pre-rolls for Tampa Bay, and now we distribute to the whole state. So we'd be really impacted with these bills if they do pass the House and Senate.
No doubt. Well, we're going to indulge in some of your pre-rolls after the show.
Perfect.
Yeah, you want to do before the show, and I didn't want to get my my voice all raspy, so we'll do it afterwards. And the young man to my left here, Tom Quigley, really helped me out getting this place off the ground. Helped me out with when we first started off with some kava and stuff like that. And first of all, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great.
Having me out here. This place looks amazing.
Thank you. It changes every single day. Come back tomorrow. It's going to be different again. Tell everybody what you do.
So my name is Tom Quigley. I entered the cannabis industry almost 10 years ago as a patient. I had a mass on my pancreas back in 2013. We didn't have a law here in Florida, so I worked with a number of other advocates to help to pass legal cannabis here in Florida. I've been working with a lot of different companies, helping them launch, like Dignitary and House of Jane's Brew cannabis companies. So I've been on both sides of the fence. My wife owns Chill Coffee, which is a coffee, cannabinoids and wellness for every experience. We have 2 stores in the Tampa Bay area. And right now I'm just really helping people to understand a little bit more about not just cannabis, but plant-based medicine as a whole.
Okay. So once again, I said I'm not directly in hemp, but we kind of are, and we're going to be a lot more involved in hemp going forward with the smoke shop for sure. When I say there's a to-do going on in the hemp industry, Ms. Yomaira, what is happening exactly?
So right now there are 2 bills that you would say fly by night, right? That were proposed, one from the state Senate and one from the House. The language in the bill would be detrimental to our hemp industry as it was written originally.
Okay.
It's some understanding that they're making some amendments or they're listening to the industry. But the way that the original bill was written, it would be detrimental to 10,000 businesses in the state of Florida.
Okay.
Over 180,000 jobs would be lost, along with the 10,000 businesses, and then millions of consumers.
Sure.
Would be felons by July 1st if they were to be caught with Delta 8 or any other hemp-derived cannabinoids.
And why is this happening? Okay, Tom. I mean, Delta 8. I've seen it here and there and everywhere. That's not really my thing. Okay, I'm a cannabis guy. Okay, yeah. But it's an offshoot of it. I have no problem with it. I enjoy it every once in a while, but What's the to-do and what's the issue now? This has been around a long time. There's been no issues. Why all of a sudden is this hemp and Delta 9 and all these things, Delta 8, the worst things in the world?
Well, let's go back to when everything was legalized. So the state of Florida enacted some rules through the Department of Agriculture with Nikki Fried and Holly Bell a number of years ago that allowed businesses, the 10,000 businesses that are open right now in the state of Florida, to operate under what is the federal farm bill.
Okay.
So in 2018, we signed the federal farm bill, or Donald Trump signed the federal farm bill, which allowed CBD products, which are derived from hemp, to be produced. It limited the amount of Delta 9 THC, and that's the THC that we're all familiar with, that distinguishes hemp from marijuana.
Okay.
So cannabis has two strains, hemp and marijuana. They both have very similar properties. They have cannabinoids.
Yep.
However, hemp is legal to be sold in stores that are gas stations, coffee shops, smoke shops, under federal law. So that enacted. So over the last 2 years, over 10,000 stores have gotten their permit, and they distribute products that are very similar to what you can buy in a medical marijuana dispensary.
Sure.
The marijuana dispensaries, I don't think they're very happy about that. They've had to spend millions of dollars to get a license, and to them, the hemp industry, or people that are in the hemp industry like myself, they think it's the wild, wild west, unfortunately.
So what I'd like to say with that is I'm a 36-year-old Hispanic female, right, as you can see. The way that the medical marijuana laws were written caused for them to write themselves out of the market share.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because they put a very specific word in there, and the language is so important. Vertical integration.
Correct.
Vertical integration automatically only allows a certain group of investors or people with money to be able to play ball, I guess you can say now.
I'm out.
You're out. I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Okay, so so that language that they wrote into their own law caused for them to be out. Why? Out a lot of money because it's from seed to sale. So by the time they go from the farm to their processing to their distribution, they're already out of pocket so much money.
Sure.
It's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. I think what else is unfortunate is I think Big Pharma used to be against cannabis, okay? And cannabis was so not Big Pharma. I think as soon as it became legal, it became Big Pharma immediately, okay?
Right.
And it eliminated everybody to where you would think the right thing to do. Like I had Fab Five Freddy here a couple weeks ago interviewing him. And I mean, when you talk about goes down to the roots of cannabis, he's talking about, smoking with like people like Miles Davis back in the day, like crazy people in New York, But what cannabis has gone through and where we're going, it's just amazing that we're still here with cannabis. We're still talking about stigmas and all stuff like that. But we need people like you guys that fight through this. But where are we going with this? Why are we, as a woman?
We're going forward. We're going forward.
Well, it doesn't sound like we're going forward.
We're not going to be going backwards, and that's why we're putting up a fight.
Okay.
It has to go through 3 different chambers: the agriculture chamber, the fiscal, and then the floor.
Okay.
Right. They have what you call a live bomb in the Capitol building right now because it's gotten to those 2 chambers. So let's talk about the reason why it got through those 2 chambers.
Okay.
Why did we get this far into this bill? What's going on?
Just follow the money.
It's just follow the money.
Yeah.
That is correct, which is what I've done. And since then, I've decided to create a private sector so that we can help bond together as peers, as business owners that are affected by these bills, so we can get proper representation in Tallahassee, because it caught us off guard, and we need to be prepared for the future. And so with the private sector, we're able to protect ourselves as individual store owners, and stay ahead of, it's politics.
Oh, yeah.
It's all
it's
politics.
interesting that you brought that up about the original law that was passed. It wasn't supposed to be vertical. So we wrote an intent of the amendment, which opened up the marketplace that allowed for brands and allowed for products and allowed for distribution. But we passed that in 2016, and unfortunately, the previous license holders who got their license under, I don't want to get too much into the inside baseball, but got it under the CBD Act, filed lawsuits and changed the game for everybody. So the dispensaries that actually have the licenses in the state of Florida right now got their licenses under the old rules. The new rules are coming up right now, and we expect over 100 different applicants to apply in the state of Florida to win 22 new licenses that are going to be awarded. So if they shut down Delta 8 or THC products in the over-the-counter market, it's going to make it more attractive for those companies to pay $140,000 non-refundable licensing fee.
100,000.
And $1 million every 2 years as a license fee to sell cannabis products.
How does everything get lumped together? Okay, it seems like, you know, it could be cannabis is scared of, could be just Delta 8. And they just lump everything together. You see, it just seems to happen that way.
So the people are afraid because they don't have enough information.
That's facts.
And so right now, you know, we are launching programs, educational programs, through grassroots efforts in order to be able to have these layers of protection for our business owners and then for our community as well, because it's necessary. I believe in the American dream.
Okay.
I'm first generation born here in the United States, and for me, the hemp 2008 farm bill was my saving grace. This meant, and what Nikki Fried and Holly Bell did with the Florida Department of Agriculture in the state of Florida. The reason why is because now I can be a small business owner in Florida, in the cannabis space, right? And that to me was the most beautiful thing because I was willing to give it everything that I have.
What if they legalize it? You still gonna be able to be in the space?
If they legalize cannabis?
I don't know that.
Medical or recreational?
If they legalize it towards recreational, you know, what do you think's going to happen?
They're
going to come after. They're going to come after their money. That's what's going to happen.
It was supposed to be a transition from the hemp space into the recreational. That's what it was supposed to be. If you had it was thought. That's what was being said around or rippling around, that if, you know, the hemp program was going so well, that if you had your hemp permits, the transition into the recreational would be like a grandfathered in.
And unfortunately, what they're trying to do is shut those down, and then now what will happen is the marijuana dispensaries will have the right to sell recreational. So we have a ballot initiative that's going to be up for vote in 2024, which is going to legalize adult use recreational. So CureALife put $20 million into legalizing adult use in Florida. We have brands like Cookies and Jungle Boys coming into Florida, willing to spend big money to get in there. And you have companies like CureALife and companies like Chill Coffee and companies like Dignitary Cafe, which has introduced these products to the masses.
Sure, absolutely.
So there's 10,000 stores that have over 1,000 customers each. That's 9 to 10 million people. The medical marijuana program only has 700,000 people in it. So now we have a large audience that's already tried cannabis-based products that are going to be driven to a dispensary.
Well, that's another thing. It's I have to look at what's going on generationally. So I sell most of my products through gas stations and convenience stores. Right now they're under attack, and so is Free Enterprise.
Yes, they are.
And I want to be a voice that represents them and speaks for them because, you know, they're good people and they were our heroes when COVID hit. They kept their doors open. They risked their lives to make sure that we were able to get our bare necessities and our goods. And so now I'm asking the senators to please not shut their doors on them. Voting yes to these bills would do that. So I ask that they vote no. I've had cashiers tell me before, thank you for offering these pre-rolls to our community. And this is in a more lower income community. They said that this gives the people that purchase them the relief. Some people don't even go to the streets anymore to get marijuana. So that was beautiful to me. The reason why is because if somebody gets arrested for illegal marijuana, that's a generational, institutionalized cycle that's very difficult to get out of. So if I could offer our community something that's going to allow them to get lab tested products that are grown with organic practices here in the United States, processed here in the United States, and sold here.
Sure.
That gives them the relief and is affordable and is accessible. Well, why are we going to take that away from them? And it's really going to hurt the communities as well.
Well, also, I want to throw in, this bill doesn't stop companies from shipping directly to people's homes.
Which,
from out of state.
Which it's not about that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not about what hemp or Delta 8 does. It's about the power, and it's about who's making the money. So if this cockamamie, one of these two cockamamie bills who pretty much say the same thing, say they get passed, okay? What does it do to your business? You're shut down.
It would be shut down overnight. By July 1st. That would be a felon, and anybody that uses or sells our products would have a felony charge if they're caught.
Just like that. Just like that.
No, I'm gonna fight.
No, we're not gonna let it happen. What about something like that? Chill Coffee, I say it wouldn't kill us because it's not big. Yeah. Chill Coffee, you guys have a little bit more products than we do.
So probably about 30% of our product line is the high THC products. I mean, we'll just shift and sell different products, unfortunately, but we don't want to do that. We've opened up our store to be able to allow people to access these products, and then it's working for them for sleep. It's working for them for the things that, for the people that don't want to go out and get their medical cards. So, I mean, for the retailers, they'll bounce back. Smoke shops, things have been banned, things have been made illegal over the years. That's the one thing that I've seen that's constant. For the manufacturers and the distribution companies, this is going to be detrimental because they have inventory, they have products in their pipeline, they've done packaging. Look at the beautiful packaging.
Thank you. Put together. Oh my goodness. I put a lot of my heart into the packaging as well.
Absolutely. But that's what it's about. Listen, as a business owner, okay, when I look at something like this, and I have a lot of people. I was just saying, as far as collaborating, I collaborate with as many people or anybody in Tampa Bay area, okay, and that's not saying anything about me. I just run into a lot of people, okay. So your packaging, the art, the way something is presented is everything.
It is.
It's everything. Like, I can look at this right here, and right away it tells me you've already made a lot of mistakes, because you can't do that in one swipe. You can't do that.
That's true.
You got to make a lot of mistakes. And listen, my dignitary stuff, that's not one-off stuff. Like, we've been making mistakes. You got to eliminate some things, and so you've done a wonderful job.
I appreciate that.
And obviously you take a lot of pride in it. So now, both of these bills, I read a couple things in these bills. The bills add a max potency level of 0.5 milligrams of total THC. Now, wait a minute now. I mean, what is it now?
So right now it's 5 milligrams per serving, and they've got a cap at 50 milligrams per package, which still is not enough.
5 opposed to 0.5?
Yes.
So that's like
well, for instance, how many milligrams in one of your pre-rolls?
So a lot of milligrams in one of our pre-rolls.
So she has over 50 milligrams.
Over 50 milligrams,
in a pre-roll.
But this isn't an edible, though.
Okay.
So when you have an edible, it changes into a different chemical called 11-hydroxymetabolite, which is like 9 times stronger. And so that's the reason why you have these different effects, right? You know, we have our endocannabinoid system, which is an endogenous system that has been there since the beginning of time. Every single animal in the world has the endocannabinoid system. And so it just depends on what parts of the endocannabinoid system you activate. You have your CB1 receptors and then your CB2 receptors, which are predominantly in your gut, and your CB1 in cerebral. So when you smoke it, you're going to have a different experience than when you eat it.
But the milligrams count for everything. So it doesn't matter if it's an edible, if it's a pre-roll, if it's anything. Per serving and per package is going to change pre-rolls. It's going to change edibles.
Yeah, you're right.
It's going to change everything that's out
But
there.
I've heard some people, military people, people with PTSD, they're like, listen, I need this much. And if you limit this, I got to take a bottle of it.
Yep.
You know, it does,
Right,
so
right,
none of
right.
it makes sense.
It's like building a road. It's like building a highway in the middle of a forest, right? Those animals still have to cross.
Correct, yeah.
You know, you still have this intercommunication system in your body that needs cannabinoids.
Okay.
Whether the government likes it or not, our body actually needs it, right? So it helps your cells reach homeostasis. It regulates your temperature. It helps with pain. So anxiety, so many reasons. And so for them to try and Frankenstein a molecule or an ingredient that your body needs is just, that's not right.
Sure, understandable.
They need to do more research. The Farm Bill actually helped us open up a space where doctors can finally research cannabis.
Okay.
When it was illegal before, because it was federally it was a Schedule I under the federal law, and so I think that we need to do more research. USF would be affected as well.
Okay.
They have an entire hemp program right now.
Have you dealt with the USF people?
We would like to.
I would like to get in touch with them myself.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, the fact remains, this program's been in place for over 3 years. We don't have any problems going on. There's no reason to shut it down. We got a federally legal system. You know, you can understand maybe some changes that people want to make, but what they're doing right now is strictly for money. There's no other reason to shut this down. You know, it's not like in the vape crisis where you had people dying and going to the hospital.
Correct.
And you had to make a choice. So right now, them trying to introduce these bills, they're just unwinding everything that Nikki Fried and Holly Bell put into play. We have a federal law that protects all of our businesses in the state of Florida. There's no debating on if this is good for people. We know this is good for people.
Correct.
And it works.
Well, we know it, but we're still here fighting for it. But for a normal person, like we're advocates, okay? But what else is there to do out there? Because when I sit here and I watch all these different people speak about cannabis that are in Tallahassee or wherever they are, and they're like, well, what's going to happen if your kid gets a hold of a marijuana gummy? They're going to blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, come on. Listen, marijuana, cocaine, your gummies, your gun,
tequila,
your
How
alcohol.
many opioids
That's
are
what
sold?
I'm saying. Come on.
They prescribe Adderall to kids. Why hasn't?
Of course they do.
Why hasn't anything like that? So it's just what they're saying, and that's why we've decided to represent ourselves as business owners in the independent and the private sector for gas stations and convenience stores, because they're the ones that are really kind of under attack in that regard.
They would be in trouble, yes.
Of the kids, and so. What I'd like to say to them is I've spoken to I made many mistakes. For 3 years, I've been door to door, building these relationships with the gas station owners. And I know them as heroes that kept their doors open for our community. So I asked to not shut the doors on them because, they do make some kind of income off of this business. You're right, they won't lose their business, but they're trying to say that kids go into their stores and get these products, and that's just not true.
Well, listen, everybody's going to there's an exception to everything, okay? Has it happened? Everything has happened in this world, okay? They're going to say, well, what about that one time? Okay, so that's not a big problem in our world. I just don't understand why people are evading all these true, real problems and going towards hemp. They're trying to get rid of kratom. You're trying to get rid of botanical tea?
And they've been trying to do that for years too. So, and again, every industry faces challenges like this by the government.
Sure it does.
But the over-the-counter, all-natural products, they battle big pharma. So they don't want people to understand that. No.
So ultimately, we could sit here and bellyache all we want. Somebody has to be behind this. Is this politics? Is it just straight up money like it normally is? Is there an easy solution? Who ultimately is behind this? Who should we blame for this?
MSOs as a whole. So multi-state operators. So the multi-state operators are actually introducing bills like this through their lobbyists in 7 different states. So it's not just Florida that this is occurring in. Right now, Georgia's under attack, Alabama, Arkansas. Kentucky just overcame a bill that would have went into place that would have put people out of business. And then some other states like California and Nevada have enacted things that have limited. So Delta 8, the Champ show, the biggest show in the smoke shop industry, could not have Delta 8 products on the floor at the Las Vegas Convention Center this year.
So what do you say about when they talk about, and I don't like to throw stones at anybody, but there's been some rumors that there's been some people in the cannabis business that are have pushed it that way.
Well, that's what we're seeing. So we're seeing very similar language, template language in different states, which do this. They limit the ability for all of us to sell these products, but there's specific lines in there that allow the MMTCs to sell them. So, you know, there is language in there that protects the marijuana dispensaries. So these bills did not just come from nowhere. They have been introduced, you know, in a concerted effort, because I'll face it, marijuana dispensaries are down 85% over the last 2 years in the stock market. So if you look at the public entities or the public stock, and that over the last 2 years, that's when the hemp industry has flourished.
Sure. Now, what would you like to see happen, Yomaira? What do you want to see happen?
What I would like to see happen is for the bills to die, you know, and for the private sector to really get together and hire really good lobbyists. The same, because the money is there. And like he was saying, that
who care? But who is caring that much? Who do we have that cares? Nikki
cares?
Fried? Nikki Fried. Who else? That's the problem. I don't think there's enough names. We hear a lot of names of people that are fighting against. There's not enough people on our side.
Well, Wilton Simpson, who runs agriculture right now, he got a $100,000 donation from True Leaf, $75,000 from a few other. So they are donating. So the big money is there. When we were trying to legalize marijuana back in 2014, the only one that was putting money up was John Morgan. And nobody else was paying. And when we would go up there and we would lobby from office to office, the real deals were being done at the steakhouse across the street. And that's still going on today.
Joe Redner has been a name in the past that's been involved.
Absolutely. I was with Joe and Joe's group.
Mine, yes.
And Joe got pushed out. So Joe was part of the group that wrote the intent of the amendment, which would have opened up the market for him and allowed him to open up a business as well. So they're going after a license. I know they are. But that has been thwarted since 2016. We're in 2023 right now, guys.
No doubt.
See, they should lobby against their own policy and change vertical integration to horizontal integration, and allow small businesses to be able to be a part of the cannabis space.
Well, I'm gonna say this because we only have 20 more seconds.
Yeah.
If we sit here and wish for them to do that, we'll be wasting our breath, because money is not gonna shy away from money. They don't let us in, and unfortunately, we're not in that little group. But thank you, young lady,
thank you so much.
For being a wonderful guest. Tom, thank you for everything you've done in the past. Thank you, and this is Ian Beckles signing off for Plant Power. Everybody go out there and smoke something delicious. I know I will.